Hello and welcome, guys, to BST Weekly, or otherwise known as Blood, Sweat and Tears.
Blood, Sweat and Tears.
I'm Tim Blacker. This is my very accomplished sidekick, Joey Kane. How are you, Joey?
Very well, thanks. Yourself?
Well, not too bad, Joey, because, you know, I'm absolutely thrilled that we have finally got this show up and running.
It's about time, isn't it? It's what the fans want.
Well, it's what the fans want. You know, I think fans are potentially sick of shows like ESPN Press Pass, these kind of things where, you know, you've got Tommy Smith and other guys on there. You know, credit to them. You know, they're on TV. We're not yet. Hopefully we will be. But you know, they get on there and they talk about their Man Uniteds, their AC Milan, their Juventus, their LA Lakers,
all the big boys.
The big boys. You know. Well, guess you know, Joey. There are little guys in the world too.
Oh,
Okay, like us.
We're the little fish.
We are the little guys
Yep.
at the minute. Okay, and we're striving to be where ESPN are. But I mean,
if we get there, we don't forget the little guys.
no, exactly. We do not forget the little guys because we are all about the little guys. And what else are we here to do, Joey?
Well, anything and everything that's interesting and important in sports that we have an opinion on, we like to bring to you. So, mainly the EPL and the NBA, a couple of the big leagues in the world.
Yeah.
In the off-season, the AFL, we're Aussies, we live in Melbourne. But anything and everything, it's interesting in sports, in NHL, in gridiron, in baseball.
Yeah.
Worth talking about, worth having an opinion about.
Because who doesn't love sport?
I know I do. I can't get enough of it, you know.
It is what a lot of people live for, and I mean, you see that when, you know, we're at games and they're on TV and people lose their control, lose their mind,
that's it.
Joey, at stuff. But sport is great.
That's it. Even over Christmas, all I could think about was sport, you know. Speaking over the Christmas and New Year period, FA Cup action over the weekend.
Yes.
We'll have a look at the last 4 game weeks and the Christmas New Year period, which is an important time.
Yeah, well, exactly, Joe, and thanks for the lead in. You stellar job. But look, basically, what our intention is, it's obviously a weekly show, BST Weekly, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at BST Weekly.
Don't forget that, because it's quite easy to do.
Because you just did. But no, well, look. Because of the FA Cup over the weekend, you know, in the early stages, we're not as involved in the FA Cup, I suppose you'd say.
Very true. There's a lot of teams involved in it.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing we're going to do is just look back at the Christmas and New Year period because, Joe, for me, that's the most important time of the year.
Most important.
Yes, it is for me because, you know, cliche aside, you know, it's going to separate the boys from the men. It's going to separate the best from the rest. All that kind of stuff. You know, because, you know, 4 games in 12 days. That's pretty hectic.
For any size list, that's
Exactly.
a lot of games crammed into a very short period.
Yeah, well, and I mean, this year, as in past years, you know, we've seen a similar trend to what normally happens, where the big guys, you know, your Man Uniteds, that kind of repertoire of team does well, and the other guys struggle. This year, Spurs and Man United were the most successful over the period, taking 10 points, and then followed straight behind by Chelsea, Man City, the Merseyside duo, who are ever improving, Everton and Liverpool, and Arsenal. You know, they've all done well.
Do you think that's because of the size of their list, or is there something else to it?
More, I think it's, you know, it's just to do with money at the end of the day.
Yep.
You know, unfortunately, that's what the Premier League comes down to a little bit. But
what about a side like Everton?
Well, they're the exception, aren't they? There's always an exception, which is great. It makes us look like idiots sometimes, but that's all right. But I mean, they're extremely well coached, and you know they deserve a lot of credit for what they do under David Moyes because they're a typical grinder. They are the definition of a grinder.
Eke out the results, don't they?
Oh, exactly. But I mean, on the flip side, Joey, is where I'm a bit more worried. A bit more worried. There are 3 teams I picked out over the period.
Okay.
The first one's Norwich. Now, Norwich City, we're not going to be as harsh to them because, you know, they're still trying to, you know...
Well, they just recently come back up, didn't they?
Yeah, and they did great last year under Paul Lambert, but unfortunately he's left, which I was disappointed to see.
Do you think he moved on to bigger and better things?
Well, no, I don't. No,
certainly not by the positions on the table.
Not at this stage, but yeah, it will pay to look at it in the future and see if he did make the right decision. But just back on Norwich, look, I think, you know, they haven't picked up a point over the New Year period, which is a bit disappointing. But they've had Chelsea and Manchester City in there at home, which, you know, that kind of Norwich team isn't expected to win that sort of game, so that's all right. Then they've had tough trips to, you know, an improving West Brom side and a West Ham side, which is hard to beat at home. So, I mean, another time they may have won, this time they didn't. But it's the two other ones, Joey, that I'm more concerned about, especially concerned about, and they are established Premier League sides.
And here's trouble, boys and girls.
Number one is Aston Villa. Okay, they've picked up 1 point over the Christmas and New Year period. Now, this is a side that has never been relegated from the top flight. When it's, you know,
years, is it?
Exactly.
Not since the start of the EPL, certainly.
Well, exactly. And that's where we focus on.
Yep.
And at the minute, they are, it's a big call, but they are an absolute disgrace at the minute. And I know...
Strong words.
Well, it is strong words, but I can back it up. I won't say something unless I think I can back it up.
No, this is what we like on this show, opinions.
In their four games, Joey, they were defeated 8-0 by Chelsea, 4-0 by Spurs, 3-0 by Wigan.
Yikes.
And they got a 2-2 draw at Swansea. But that's 17 goals conceded.
Lots of goals. That's almost a record, wouldn't it be? I think 18 is the record.
I think it is, yes. But, and their 17 conceded over that period brings them to 41 goals conceded so far this year in 21 games. Do the math. That's as good as two a game.
Crazy.
You're not going to win many games like that.
Not any, almost.
Okay, and I know you've had a soft spot for Villa over the stretch. You know, you've liked to look at them as a club that you could take under your wing. But what is actually going on down there? Is it the manager? You know, you've had strong views off camera. Yes. Why don't we share them with the people?
Well,
because what is going on down there?
It's interesting. You say that they've never been relegated from the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point because certainly by the chairman's actions and some of the work they've done in the transfer windows, you'd think it's almost like they're geared towards being a championship side. Certainly we know that most teams' players have premiership clauses in their contracts.
Yeah.
So, you know, not playing Darren Bent, they're looking to offload him, it looks like.
That's not right.
Well,
you can't tell me Darren Bent can't get a start?
Surely Darren Bent starts in a struggling Aston Villa team. Surely.
Well, yeah. I don't think you can say much else than something's going on there.
And far be it from us to slander one of the great teams in English football like this, but sometimes the planets align and the puzzles fit together nicely. Gee, it looks like they're gearing towards clearing the decks and clearing the wage bill, going down for a year, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure it's going to suit them though, Joey. I mean, you know, I've seen established Premier League sides go down before and not get back up.
Blackburn recently
don't look like they're going to make much of an impression getting back up from the Championship.
No.
You've got Middlesbrough. They were an established side and they've gone down and really struggled to come back up.
Absolutely.
Not doing too bad this year. A little chance to maybe come back up, which would be great to see.
It's been a while though.
But it has, and obviously you got the Leeds United. But that's a bit different because of the money issues that were surrounding it. But I mean, it's still taken. They've lost their best players, like Aston Villa is going to do.
Definitely.
And look how long it's taken them to get back to the Championship and get competitive in the Championship even.
Well, I think Newcastle and West Ham are certainly exceptions to the rule. Very well done to yo-yo back up from those two clubs, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
Well, West Ham were down for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I mean, it's I personally can't see them coming back up.
Not immediately, definitely not.
No, definitely not. And this is a nice little segue to my other team that I highlighted over the period, and that is Newcastle United.
Bit of trouble there.
Once again, their performances have been ordinary. They've mustered 3 points over the Christmas and New Year period, Joey.
That's not a lot. for
it's
an
not.
established club.
Well, it's not, because at the same stage last season, remembering, of course, that they finished 5th, okay, just 4 points out of a Champions League spot.
No, they were exceptional last year. No one could knock them last year on their performance.
So, I mean, it's fair to say that expectations have risen.
Absolutely.
And,
so they should.
And really, it's the level they should be at. They pack out that stadium of theirs, week in, week out, and what they're doing at the minute is just not good enough. So last year, at the same stage, okay, they were in 7th spot on 33 points. Okay, they've got a goal difference of +4 and have just conceded 25 goals, which is a bit over 1 a game. Okay, we'll call it 1 a game. So, I mean...
Good spot, though.
This year, however, they're sitting 15th on 20 points. Of course, that's 13 points worse off at this stage. They've got a goal difference of -12, which is 16 worse, and have conceded 39 goals 39. And sit just 2 behind Aston Villa for the worst offence in the Premier League.
It's 2 a game as well.
Now, they've got some good players on that side. Colaccini leads them very well at the back. Tim Krul's an excellent keeper.
Absolutely is.
But, you know, you couple this with the weekend's FA Cup loss at Brighton, you know, another bad result. Demba Ba departing for Chelsea recently.
Well, that's the kicker, isn't it?
He scored 13 of their 27 goals this year. It's safe to say that there wouldn't be many smiles in the dressing room at St James's at the minute.
Certainly not. The Demba Ba one is the real killer, I feel. That's half their goals gone. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be active in the transfer period, but they need to be, I think.
Yeah, well, of course they're going to have to be, because Cisse is not living up to the high standards he set last year. But I mean, that's expected. I mean, he wasn't going to always play that well. But I mean, they're 2 points above the drop zone, Joe.
That's a worry.
2 points. Imagine if they go down again. I don't think it will happen. I don't think it will happen personally. But, you know, with Demba Ba gone, not many others scoring goals. We've got Shola Amiobi leading the line, who is well past his prime.
Bit of a worry, isn't it?
What is the problem? What is actually the problem down there? Was it the Demba Ba contract situation? Was it disharmony? Alan Pardew's getting himself in hot water with the fans, making comments after, you know, the loss against Arsenal over the New Year period where they conceded 7 goals.
Well, I don't think Pardew's the problem. I think Pardew's quite a good manager myself.
Yeah.
They certainly do have problems, and there's certainly work needs to be done with their list. They need another striker. They need goals, basically. In what form? That'll be tough to see. Everyone seems to need strikers at the minute. But, I mean, the positive take on this, I suppose, is maybe last year when they finished so high, maybe that was an anomaly. And maybe to the same extent, this year's an anomaly too. I kind of see them as a real middle-of-the-road team in the Prem, certainly at the minute. Certainly their results haven't shown that this year, but again, last year was an anomaly too. You mentioned the cup loss to Brighton.
I'm pretty sure they were the only Premier League side to go out.
Yeah. The thing with that, though, I suppose, and again, this is a positive view.
They are still in the Europa League.
Well, there's that too. Yeah. But their games coming up in the Premier League is so important. These next few games, they're very winnable, and they need to win them. Probably the least important game of this month for them was that match against Brighton. So that's probably the positive spin, I suppose.
It's fair. Yeah, it is fair enough. But losses they're not great.
It's tough to be a Newcastle fan at the minute, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You know, and I hope they pull it together, because I've always had a soft spot for them, and back in the Alan Shearer days and everything like that. But
golden era.
Well, it was, but look, they've got a bit of thinking to do. You know, I think just mulling over it, they have got some good players, but they've got some real battlers on that side for mine, Joey. Ryan Taylor at right back. You know, he switches between the flanks. Gutierrez is a real grinder, battler, and Kabaya came in with a flash last year, but maybe people are saying to work him out.
Well, he seems to have dropped off in form, let's be honest. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they had a lot of new players last year, and I think that might have brought about their good results. But, look, they've got a lot of thinking to do down there.
Tough.
Oh, well, we'll see how they pan out in the future. But over the period, again, just a last touch on the New Year period, Joey. Why are there so many goals? 121 goals in total.
It's been good for the viewer.
Well, look, I think that's why we love the Premier League.
Absolutely.
Over Serie A, over the Spanish League. No, not so much the Spanish League, but French and Italian more.
So that's half of our viewers gone. See you later.
Please stay with us. But no, it is why we watch the Premier League. You know, you get teams out there who really go for it. You know, you rarely see a 0-0 stalemate in the Premier League. And if you do, there are guaranteed to be clear-cut chances that have been missed in the game.
Absolutely.
Now, 121 goals in total over the four game weeks equals 30 goals a game week. That is fantastic viewing. But what's it down to, really? Is it down to fatigue, which I can understand? 4 games in that period is a lot. Or is it, you know, just the attacking prowess of Premier League sides is just getting too good and sides possibly aren't spending enough on their defensive reinforcements? I don't know. It's just an issue.
Well, Tim, I think you'll like this one. You mentioned other leagues.
Yeah.
Certainly the Spanish League and Portugal and, you know, not so much the Italian League. But the English Premier League, goals are scored primarily, I feel, from from mistakes.
Yeah.
Let's put it out there. Most goals scored in the Premier League are mistakes that are capitalised on. And to that extent, and with the amount of goals we've seen, for the life of me, I don't understand why Premier League teams feel they need their fullbacks to be so attacking. It feels like left and right backs in the English Premier League.
Non-existent.
Well, they're just attacking midfielders.
They are only there for the team sheet.
Exactly.
And that's it.
They're wingers. They don't even line up in the back four. It feels like you've got two big monkeys, two big mugs at centre back.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, you do see a lot of crosses coming in the Premier League. Easily. Crosses coming in too easily. And again, it's from what you just said. I mean, the left backs and right backs are so unaccountable these days. I mean, watching a Manchester City game the other week, and Gael Clichy, I don't think he ever he does get back, but as soon as Manchester City get the ball, he's straight up the other end.
He's off.
He's straight up the other end, turnover comes, City can see. Simple. I mean, it's happened a lot this year. Their defence has been, well, a shambles compared to last year.
Bit of a mess.
Really. I mean, it had a few defensive injuries in company, and Lescott's out of form and out of favour and that sort of thing, but I don't know. I don't think we should be complaining because I love it. I love seeing goals scored.
Absolutely. We love seeing goals scored, but is it necessary for these attacking players? I feel if I was a manager in the Premier League, I'd certainly be just getting actual defenders.
Yeah, well, defensive-minded players.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, gone are the days of, Pablo Zabaleta is a classic example. You know, when he first came to City, he was defensive through and through. And in time, the changing of style in the game has forced him to become that right back that becomes a right wing back, right winger. So he's not as defensively sound as he once was as well. So, I mean,
it's changed him.
Well, it has, but I mean, he's had a fantastic year nonetheless. And I mean, there are other guys out there. It'd be hard to still pick a back four this year in Team of the Year because there are so many good players.
And the thing is, the way we look at, the left and right backs of the year and our teams of the year and that type of thing.
Yeah.
I bet you we look at the goal sheet. I bet you we look at how many goals scored and we'd almost pick it like that. It's just becoming ingrained in us.
Yeah.
That left and right backs are so attacking and they need to score when, in reality, they don't. They should be defending anyway.
Yeah. Exactly, but that's that down.
Very interesting.
Yeah, well, something else that's very interesting, Joey, and look, we're not just a talk show here. I mean, as you guys could have told on the last bits of this been going over, we like a laugh.
Love a laugh.
Everyone likes a laugh.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we've got a few segments, and the first one's come up.
They're crackers, let's be honest.
It's time for the first one, and the first segment is called Tim's Toolbox. And of course...
No copyright infringement at all.
No, we give thanks to the Fox Sports app here in Australia, which gives us footage of all the Premier League and everything like that. So.
Also home improvement for the name.
Home improvement, in a sense, yeah. We had to change Tim's Tool Time to Tim's Toolbox.
Yeah, but, well, better, I reckon.
Anyway. Look, imagine me after this week. We've come on the air quickly because we want to get this going, but I don't have my actual toolboxes yet, Joey. They were sold out down at the local. But I mean, well, I couldn't believe it either. But look,
bit of a plug for home hardware.
Yeah, home hardware. Get down there, get all your stuff you need. But look, imagine me with an empty toolbox, as I said, and each week, obviously, I need tools for the toolbox. So
how are you going to fill it?
Well, these tools are players in the English Premier League, Joe.
What an idea!
And so I'll be scouring each week, and each week when we come on, I'll have a new tool.
And that leads me to say, BST Weekly on Twitter, if you want to get involved, if you want to add to Tim's Toolbox, if you think someone's worthy, hit us up on the Twitter account, and we'll go from there.
Please do, because we can't see everything, we can't talk about everything, because we love talking.
Absolutely.
We could be here all day and talk about the Premier League, but this brings us to our, as I said, the first segment, Tim's Toolbox. So we'll get the footage up. All right, well, Joe, Reading West Ham on the weekend at the Majayski. Ball comes in here. Now, watch my man James Collins. Here we go. What is that?
Oh,
now,
no.
Pogrebniak runs in.
Oh, he's finished as well.
Beautiful little tuck away. There he goes. But James Collins, you are my first tool. You are the golden hammer.
That was something.
Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't actually take me that long to find, but that was a runaway leader. Closely second was Carlos Cuellar's own goal for Sunderland against Spurs in the first week of the 4-week New Year period. But
bit of stink there.
Yeah, well, I mean, James Collins, I'm happy to have him. Yeah, well, golden hammer, as I said, you need it. You need a tool to kick it off, and a hammer's the best thing.
Welcome to the toolbox, James
Collins. You are the first. Next week, I'm looking
the inaugural.
Well, the inaugural, but next week I want a spanner. So next week I'm after a golden spanner. I think I like the term golden for no apparent reason. just golden.
Well, that's up to you, viewers. BST Weekly, get on.
Please do. Now, Joey, where are we up to? We are up to the table. Because obviously we've talked about some of the results, we've talked about some teams. Obviously now we're just going to better have a quick look at the table, don't you think?
At the end of the day, it's really what we play for, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. So why don't we get the footage up again of the table? We'll just wait for it to come up. All right, Joey. So, I mean, as you can see, Manchester United are up the top there. 7 points clear. They'd be very happy with that, you think?
Great start to the year, and it's really important psychologically, I think, to have at least 1 or 2 games on your challenger, which is City at this point. So they'd be pretty happy with themselves.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's just whether they can keep it up is the next thing. Just a bit further down, you've got City. Expectedly, they're going to be around there. Tottenham, though, are the surprise packets for me, Joey.
Absolutely. Sitting in third, their last few years, they're really looking to push into the Champions League every year now. Great list with Bale, among others. He hasn't been at 100% either, so, I mean, they've probably got some bit of improvement in them, so they'd be loving life at the minute.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a really tight battle, as you can see, for the top 4. You've got a handful of sides there, all in contention. Really, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal will be there, and Everton. Can they keep it up? They're doing incredibly well as well.
Same list for as long as I can remember, almost, and still chugging along perfectly.
Yeah, Tony Hibbert and the old brigade down there. I mean, put them in a retirement home, I say. But
not by the looks of this.
Not by the looks of that. And just the last one I want to point out here, Liverpool as well. Just keep an eye on them, Joe. They're making a really good run. Not going to say they're going to be any threat to the title or anything, but 4th spot I think is a definite chance, especially. But,
well, great acquisition with Sturridge as well.
Fantastic, yes. But we'll touch on that. We'll touch on that shortly. But this is the last one, Joey. West Brom sitting in there. Of course, they house my man, Peter Odemwingie. I've got a lot of man love for that guy. But 7th, what would you be saying if you were a Baggy fan?
Well, at the start of the year, I would love to have recorded some of the reactions from the fans to see where they thought they'd end up.
Yeah.
To sit at 7th at this point of the year, I think that'd be ecstatic, to be honest.
Well, can they keep it up though? That's the question.
Well, I mean,
they are starting to slide a little. Results are diminishing a little bit, but
look, again, to sit in 7th, if you just take a snapshot right now, they'd be over the moon, I think. So push on, hopefully, and good on them, I say.
Yep, exactly. So we'll just get the bottom half up now, and the tech crew cooperates with us. Yeah, all right. So bottom half here, Joey. I mean, this is where it's a lot of the interest comes in the Premier League more than the title, because it's pretty evident early on who's gonna be contending for the title. But if you just look at this bottom half here, I mean, from West Ham down, I mean, those guys would be expecting maybe up to 8th at best, but anything more than that, I think they'd be happy where they are, especially West Ham, this season being a season of consolidation. But what takes your eye below Sunderland there?
Well, below Sunderland, yes, but certainly Newcastle is the one that stands out. But I mean, even Sunderland as well there. I'm sure both of those sides would be hoping for better results in the second half of the year.
Well, is Martin O'Neill safe?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of raps on Martin O'Neill. Every man and their dog seems to rate him as one of the great managers. I'm not of that school of thought. Yep. I think Martin O'Neill probably has some better opposition in the manager ranks within the Premier League. Probably even in the Championship is where I think he probably belongs. But
okay, yep.
That's my views.
Yeah, that's fair enough. For me, I'm much the same. I'm not entirely convinced about him. Just his tracksuit get-up, Joey, is what does it for me. I just think you should be looking the part, but Martin definitely doesn't. But he's got that Canterbury jumper he's been wearing for 20 years. But
loves a player on a high wage as well.
Oh, he does. He definitely does. But we just moved down, as you just mentioned, Joey, Aston Villa. They're dangerously close, aren't we? We've already touched on them, so we won't go too much in them. Southampton, Wigan, Reading, and QPR down there, though, it is where it's at. We're going to touch on QPR in a minute, but
I think out of those few, I mean, personally, the only one you could really say is a definite to go down, I think Reading. I think Reading are in a lot of trouble here, and I can't really see a way out for them.
Well, they haven't got any real seasoned Premier League players, do they? I mean, they've got Jason Roberts lying in there, but he's well into his 30s now, and his best Blackburn days are behind him.
Certainly hit and miss at best.
Yeah, I mean, you can't rely on him. Southampton are an interesting one. Pretty entertaining side to watch, but they just can't keep it out at the other end, which is probably going to be the big problem. And Wigan, they do this every year. Can they survive again? I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't back against them after...
Personally, I think they're done. I think this is it. Yeah, I don't think they can get out again. I think Southampton will survive, and Wigan will go down. And I also think Aston Villa will as well. But look, we'll touch on that in a minute. But that's the table. Pretty log-jammed at the bottom there.
Absolutely, and in the middle as well. Tight for spots. Up Sunderland up, I suppose. It's very, very tight in the middle. So
yeah, well, I mean, look, one win and Fulham jump up 2 spots. Sunderland would jump up 2. So it's anyone's game, really.
That's it.
Yeah, just got to string a few good results together.
That's right. That's the aim of the game.
It certainly is. So that's that. I mean, we move on now. There's plenty of topics to talk about in the Premier League. It's why everyone loves it and everything like that.
It's the silly season.
Yeah, well, exactly. But so, do you want to jump into the transfer window news first, or just no?
Definitely into the transfer window news. A couple of big names, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, a couple of moves have gone down already, quite early, which is a bit surprising. You normally see
it drags on.
Deals get dragged out to the last day, yeah, which is a bit annoying. But I mean, this a couple here, I've picked out 5. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that was lucky.
Count.
Joe Cole to West Ham first. Your thoughts?
I think his career was absolutely stalling at Liverpool. He was not getting the minutes that he needed or wanted for his career. Old West Ham boy. I think even Brendan Rodgers said that Joe Cole's gone home. And I think both sides are happy with that.
Well, I think all parties, as you just said, all parties are happy with the outcome, and I think that's all you can ask for, really.
Yeah.
Daniel Sturridge to Liverpool.
Yeah, touched on that earlier. I think it's one of the great signings. Certainly he fits Liverpool's playing style down to a T.
Yeah.
And already scored 1 goal in the FA Cup against Mansfield. Not that means a lot, but shows that he has the ability to kick on and score some goals, which I think they need.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you'd think now their partner Sturridge and Suarez up top, which is a very, very dangerous combination. Barini goes back to the bench. Is this the end of Andy Carroll for good now? When he does come back from West Ham or not?
I think the problems initially were that if Andy Carroll could fit the system or not, and they probably still exist.
Yeah.
I think so. Is it the end? Probably.
Probably. I was very surprised. I thought Carroll and Suarez were going to be fantastic together, but I mean, it hasn't worked out. Suarez is a man that can play that lone role by himself, and he's obviously very short in stature, so... Look, Carroll's a bit of a dinosaur, isn't he? And he's picking up injuries. Can't really get a run at West Ham. So, yeah, I don't expect him to be in a Liverpool jersey next year either. So we'll just wait and see that. Demba Ba, we've touched on. Demba Ba to Chelsea, obviously. He takes his 13 goals with him. Newcastle very sad. Chelsea very happy.
What does it mean for Torres?
Well, yes. I don't know. Do they partner them? I don't think you can.
Neither do I.
No, with Chelsea's system, they like to get the wide man involved in everything and just play the lone striker. They've really missed Drogba ever since he's gone. He was just an unbelievable player. But
absolutely.
If Torres leave, I don't think Torres will leave the club. I think.
He's Roman Abramovich's favourite player, isn't he? I mean, there's no way he's letting him leave easily.
Well, he splashed out 50 million on him, so his price tag's definitely gone down below 20, I would say. The English market is a bit overpriced, but so you would probably get more than 20, but I don't think he should be asking for any more than 20 for Torres.
Well, he's probably not worth it at the minute, is he?
Yeah, so, I mean, it'll be interesting because if push came to shove, big game, Chelsea Man United, hands down, I would say Rafa goes for Demba Ba.
Really?
Yes. I don't think Torres even gets a look in. But, you know, he's an old Liverpool boy, so...
That's it?
Yeah. So, I mean, what can you do? Where are we now? We got Shamak from Arsenal, of course. Couldn't get a game. Really, really struggling. And he's gone to West Ham.
Yeah. A bit loose, I suppose, that one, really.
It came out of the blue. It's only on loan. To the end of the season, but...
do they have a pressing need for Shamak at West Ham?
Well, they've got Carlton Cole, who I really, really like. They've got Andy Carroll, who obviously we just talked about. He's coming back from injury, and he's just a big, tall... He's a bit more mobile than Andy and Carlton Cole, but it's just not the right type of striker for me. It needs to be a diminutive type striker, like the size of a Tevez or an Aguero or Suarez, Rooney, those kind of guys, not big lads like Shamak, but look, hopefully he gets a few games and scores a few goals because he really did light it up when he came from France originally.
Well, he's had a tough run. He hasn't had to have a good run at it for a long time now, so hopefully for his sake he does.
Yeah, and I mean, just the last one I picked out. This isn't a good one, by the way. It's one that came through, and I'm underlining it here for you, Joey. Tal Ben Haim to QPR. Now, again, we still haven't got to QPR. We've got them here. They're next on the schedule, but surely they can do better than that.
I mean, to be honest, QPR's list isn't that bad. They've got a lot of, well, on paper, quite talented players there. Yeah, Ben Haim, explain that, rationale that for me. I'm not sure.
Well, it was at Bolton, obviously, to start with, and he was fantastic there. You know, he really was. He went to Chelsea, and that's really where Well,
He dropped off the face of the earth.
yeah,
Really.
I couldn't even think of a word to describe it.
No.
It just went downhill from there. He then journeyed to Man City. Was pathetic there, to be honest. He went to West Ham. Then he went to Portsmouth. He was still at Portsmouth, costing them a fortune, sending him into administration as well. He's finally out of there, and he's at QPR. I just worry about QPR. You know, they got this money with this Fernandez chap, the F1 owner, and they got money, but I don't think they're investing it in the right spots.
Well, that's
Silly
the thing,
money.
isn't it? Yeah, I mean, they're in a relegation battle. You probably need fighters more than anything. Talent only gets you so far in terms of trying to stay up, I think. You really need battlers. Even some of the old boys, Sean Derry, that's the type of guy you really need to look to in these type of situations, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly your point. I mean, Sean Derry is not a superstar by any means, but he will get in there, get his hands dirty, and when you're in a relegation battle, you know, it's exactly what you need. But look, they're an interesting one, and it's good that we finished on Ben Hyen because it moves us straight into QPR. Now, they finished off the Christmas and New Year period with a win over Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, which is amazing for them.
Great result.
You know, they couldn't buy a result, but is it the spark they need? Because personally, I think it is. I think Harry, he's the right man. He's going to be the saviour again for mine. They've got him in where they're just entering the transfer window. He can put his touch on it. I hope that Ben Hyen move wasn't his idea though. I think he'll tinker with it. He'll get the people he wants in, get the people out that he doesn't want, and I think they'll stay up and you'll see better results in the new year.
Well, the worst thing I think could happen, some people in the media saying that it's maybe too late. Maybe they shouldn't be investing any money in the transfer market. But as a sports fan, as a lover of sports, that's the last thing you'd hope happen. I hope they fight tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Invest the money into the right players, as they're saying, and hopefully for their sake they can pull it together and stay up.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got some great players. I mean, you've got Cisse up top. Yeah, granted, he's old. He's getting on.
He's talented, though.
Look, he's an enigma. He's a bit of a Mario Balotelli, but just not a head case.
Well,
like Mario.
Yeah.
Well, actually, saying that, he is a bit of a head case, but he's
not as bad as Mario. I mean, he takes the cake.
Yeah, he's more controlled. And look, they've got Cesar in goals. You know, that is
big raps on him.
Just a great signing. The points I worry about, though, are the centre-back issue. I'm not convinced Clint Hill can stay there. I mean, there was a game the other week where Suarez went round him like he was a concrete statue.
Skinned him.
Yeah.
Alive.
So they must get a quality centre-back for me. Ryan Nelson as well isn't the answer. He's too old, Joey.
He's a fighter, but he's probably on the decline, I'd have to say, unfortunately.
Yep, and a quality man in the midfield, like absolute quality, polish, like a Michu, someone like that. They're not expensive to come by if you get the right guy.
Well, it's all about scouting, isn't it?
Michu was $2 million cost Swansea, and he's been
crazy.
Unbelievable. So, what do you expect from QPR for the rest of the year?
Look,
do you think they'll stay up?
Do I think they'll stay up? Yes, I do, but I don't think it'll be because of their exceptional form turnaround. I think they'll just eke out enough results like the Chelsea one, a few plucky results like that. But I think it's more the lack of drive and competition around them to stay up. I think, as you touched on, Aston Villa are in a lot of trouble, and will probably QPR certainly has the talent and the list and hopefully the drive to stay up ahead of them and Reading.
Yeah.
And you might not agree, but maybe even Saints, I think, are possibly the third one. But
look, that for mine, Reading and Villa are gone.
Absolutely, I probably agree with that.
See you later. And it is Southampton. Look, they can play some really good stuff. As I said before, I actually see them staying up. I'm not sure who that last one will be though. It's such a log jam, but I mean we'll know more in obviously the coming months.
That's it.
Just back to the top of the table for a sec, Joey. Manchester United, they're 7 points clear, as we did say. Robin van Persie has obviously, he's got them to where they are.
Good signing, but as he would be for that amount of money.
Fantastic signing. 16 goals, Joey, leading the league, and 6 assists as well. You know, if he goes down, will we see another situation like last year because he has pulled them out of the fire a lot this year. He really has. Will we see another situation where the armour starts to get dented and all of a sudden they're dropping points here and there, and they feel the heat under the collar, and, you know, the same thing happens as last year and they slip up right at the end?
That's a great question. I think you'd have to look to who's going to challenge them. City's the obvious one.
I think it's only between City and United.
Yeah, I tend to agree. For me, the question doesn't really lie with United at this point. They're chugging along nicely, 7 points ahead of City.
Yep.
I think the onus probably is, and the pressure probably is more on City at the minute to, you know, continue to get string some great results together, and that means just wins, win after win, and they should, to be honest, beat most sides in the Premier League.
Well, they should. They've got Arsenal coming up this weekend at the Emirates, which will be very interesting, and United have got Liverpool. So, I mean, we could... theoretically, City could be 10 points behind after this weekend.
Yeah.
They really could.
Or 4 as well,
yes.
Which brings them right back into it. So, yeah.
That's why we love the Premier League, isn't it? But but look, just to finish on it, as I said with RVP, I just think he's that sort of player. I can't understand why City didn't go harder for him. Now, the talks are Mancini wanted him, and the board put a halt to it because of the financial restrictions and all that. But if there was one man in the Premier League you would not let Manchester United get their hands on, it would be Robin van Persie.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, wouldn't you? The financial clout they have, it's why wouldn't they try harder to get him? But
yeah.
Recent reports that Edison might be on his way to City for 45 million, and if you can offload Balotelli, which seems likely as well,
yeah,
that's a chance. So, but back to RVP at United, great signing, and I think their list needed it. I mean, you look at the Manchester United list.
It's not the best, is it?
Well,
it's not the best. Chelsea's got a better list than them. City, Arsenal are pushing there on paper to be better than them, but they've just got these guys. Michael Carrick's I'm not a massive fan of him. Darren Fletcher the same. They're not massive names, but they just. It is one of those situations where it just does come down to the manager, Sir Alex.
Yeah, cleverly. There's others, and they get the job done. That's the thing. So to add a proven match winner in Van Persie, exceptional by them, and they'd be very happy.
Yep, well, we watch with interest, Joe. But just a final note on the Premier League for this week, Joey. It has been a mammoth start.
Absolutely.
For us. As I said before, we've got segments, Joey. We really... And I know you've been waiting for this one. Just let me get my prop here. There's a segment, and it's called Black as Bake. And if you're Australian, you'll know, you will have heard it before, Billy's Bake, on, of course, the Triple M radio show. Billy Brownless, a big AFL personality down here, which we will be getting onto when the season draws a bit closer, the AFL guys, so stick with us there. But so the idea for Black as Bake has stemmed from that, and but we'll get this going. And so
I'm excited.
Yeah, basically what it is. In the week that's just passed, if I see something that enrages me, puts the fire in my belly...
I can see the steam going out of your ears right now.
I need to bake something. And today, it's in the oven over here, Joe. You can see it. It was a tough contest. You know, Aston Villa were there. I was considering them highly. Newcastle were there. I said no.
No to Newcastle.
No to Newcastle. This one, though, I'm not sure you'll agree with me, but I'll just get it out of the oven. Oh, she's a hot one today, Joe. We got the tray.
Be careful with your fingers there.
Just flick this top layer of stuff off. And Joey, Black as Bake for this week is none other than that man right there, Rafael Benitez. Now, this is very
Wow.
hot under my hand. A perfect cake to start us off. Joey, you may ask, I'll just put this cake down. Oh, Rafa's going everywhere. And I'll just toss this down here, but it's Rafa.
Rafa. Gee.
Now, I know it's an easy target. Chelsea go through more managers than... Gee, I can't even think of a word to go with that. They go more...
Then you go through tissues.
Exactly, through tissues. Or toilet paper, or whatever you want to call it, Joey.
Whatever you're into.
Milk, anything. But, so he's an easy target, but my problem is, and it stems onto this QPR result, okay, they've got an FA Cup tie on the weekend against Southampton, which they've gone out and they've won, they've scored 5 goals. You know, they've walked it in.
Good result.
Now, they've played QPR on the Tuesday. The game's not until Saturday. Rafael Benitez has openly admitted he has rested Juan Mata and Eden Hazard. Okay, he's rested them.
Yep.
As a result, they've come on in their 75th, 80th minute, whatever. But it's too late, Joey. As a result, QPR have gone to Stamford Bridge, they've won. I'm not saying it's the sole reason, but I'm saying don't flirt with form. He's trying to win over people at that club. And yes, they've played games in the stretch, but if you are fit enough to start, to be on the bench, you are fit enough to start. Because if an injury occurs in the first minute, you've got to come on and play a full 90. Okay? My argument is they could have played 60 minutes and then gone off. Okay? Because they still get the half-time break. But it is just arrogant and it's demeaning to their supporters because they're trying to be competitive in the Premier League over the FA Cup, in my opinion. Now, I know they're out of the Champions League, but it's going to be one of the hardest years to qualify for the Champions League this year.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So, you can't be throwing away games like that. And I know you're not going to agree, but this is good.
Well, look, I'll let you finish there. I couldn't disagree anymore. I think against a subpar opposition... If you have a squad size the size of Chelsea and you have these depth players, I suppose we'll call it, but certainly talented players who can come in and do a job,
yeah.
Why not play them against subpar opposition and rest your stars? I mean, the only real downfall I can see is to the fans, unfortunately, who travel to the away games or the home games. They come out, they expect to see the stars play, but if you get the result, I can't see any problem in it at all.
Well, it is easier to say because they lost the game. But if they won the game, obviously it's nothing. But look, Rafa, I just think at the minute he will be doing everything he could to be getting results. And look, he hasn't. A bit of a shaky start. You know, there's murmurings going on. I'm not sure if he'll be there next year. Abramovich loves a new manager.
Absolutely.
But that's my first bake anyway. It's a rough segment.
It's about priorities, I suppose, too. I mean, just to continue on for a second, where does his priorities lie? I guess it's not in the Cup.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Thinks there's a chance in the Premier League, maybe? Certainly Champions League is on the cards, but yeah.
Look, I don't know.
Sorry to ruin your bake there.
No, it's all right, because I'll eat my cake with deliciously baked goodness in mind as it is.
Rafa Tasty?
Rafa Tasty, as always. we're what's the word? We're flattening out at the end. We've got to lift it back up, Joey. But no, so I'll have another bake next week. But this week, it's Rafa. And he's going onto the wall of the bake, which is over here, which will be ready next week as well. So that is the Premier League done, Joey.
That's the Premier League wrap. Very good. Back onto NBA in 1 second, I suppose.
Yes, in 1 second.
So, on to the NBA. Again, a very busy period over the Christmas New Year period.
Yep.
A lot going on in the NBA. The first thing I'd like to talk about is serial pest, I suppose we'll call him, DeMarcus Cousins.
Okay, yep.
It came out a few days ago, maybe a week ago now, that he requested a trade away from Sacramento. This is following his suspension, another one. And then it came out a couple of days later that apparently it was rescinded. He didn't ask for a trade. I mean, first off, you can't just request a trade like it's candy, like you feel like bag of Skittles. Can I have a bag of Skittles? Can I have a tray? It doesn't work like that, does it?
Well, no, of course not. My question is, where does he actually think he should be playing? Like, does he think he should be at an OKC or something like that, or what?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, he's not going to go to a better situation if his maturity levels are. Let's be honest, they're pretty low. He acts like a petulant child most of the time. This is a pretty big spray, but I think it's deserved.
Well, I mean, at the minute, it's the perfect situation for him. For me, at Sacramento, he's there sort of by himself. Yeah, they've got other guys like Jason Thompson, young fellas who are doing quite well. But I mean, he is the big fish there. And
That's it.
I think at this stage, he should just be utilising that and running with it.
I mean, let me run. He's averaging 17.4 points per game.
Yeah.
And that's at 42%.
Okay.
He's shooting at 10.3 rebounds. So that's a double. He offers you pretty much nightly.
Yeah.
And that's in 31 minutes a game. So it's not like he can't play. Let's just put that out there. He really does have the talent. He's big guys in the league at the minute, especially. Really bereft of a lot of talent. Outside of Dwight Howard, Chandler defensively probably, I can't probably think of a better centre than DeMarcus Cousins. Can you?
No, I can't really. I mean, he has the talent, Joe, and it's what frustrates me the most with professional sportsmen, and that's the way they handle themselves. Granted, he's still a fairly young chap. He's not old by any stretch, but I mean, he's got to know when to pull his head in.
Well, he's a developing guy with a lot of talent, and he has a platform at Sacramento where he can develop into pretty much wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
He's got the supporting cast around him, but more than that, he has a scope and opportunity there to make Sacramento his team. He can build it into whatever he wants it to be, as I said, and they could bring in guys later on if they need to.
Do you think the similarities are there in a case between not so much the disciplinary? Well, I can't say it, Joe.
Disciplinary.
Thank you. Not so much in that sense, but in the sense that he's the one guy at a team. Do you think there's similarities between him and Kevin Love in that side when Kevin started to play some really good basketball, but he was the only fish there? Then last year, they've got in Ricky Rubio. This year they've got in other guys and. With Pekovic's emergence and that sort of stuff. And I don't want to take this away from Sacramento, but if DeMarcus Cousins stays at Sacramento and continues to play good basketball, he's going to force, other clubs to come at him rather than him having to come at other clubs. So he's going to get that move eventually.
Exactly. As you just said, who would want him with the carry on that he's carrying on with at the minute? As you said, it diminishes his trade value and certainly lessens the amount of teams that do want him.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, if Sacramento do look to move him and think we can't put up with this anymore, trade request after trade request, suspension after suspension, it's just not working out. I guess the question is, what do they need, and where do you think they're at in their rebuilding process?
Well, I mean, they got one of the worst records in the league, and I mean, I don't think anyone at Sacramento thought they were going to be playoff bound or anything like that. But I mean, probably a bit more competitive would have been good. I mean, they've got really big raps on Tyreke Evans down there. I mean,
Tyreek's a baller.
He is. I rate him. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he'll ever get to A grade.
Oh, yeah.
That's just me. He's one of those solid...
He's not a superstar, but he is a solid NBA.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, Jason Thompson, I mentioned, really, really impressing me this year with his rebounding and points that he's
developing, isn't he?
He is. He definitely is. And I mean, but it's just... At the point, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced Isaiah Thomas is the man for them.
Well, Isaiah Thomas is so flaky.
Yeah,
he's so flaky. But they've got Jimmy Fredette as well at the point.
He doesn't get a run, Joe.
Well, I mean, he come out of college with unlimited range. Jimmy Fredette's game is based on his long.
Yeah.
He pull up just inside the halfway line. But if you're developing a team around either of those two, you're struggling, I think.
Well, Jim is the sort of guy... He's sort of like a JJ Redick when Orlando still had Dwight, I think. He's that man to come off the bench for you be the man that's going to drive the dagger through opposition hearts with 3 balls and stuff like that. I don't. Credit to JJ, by the way, he's doing quite well, and he's when he's starting now for Orlando. But I just don't think Jimmy Fredette and these kind of guys, are going to be suited to a starting role, and you can't build a team around them.
Well, what's the thing. If Sacramento do lose Cousins, what are they left with? What are they building around? DeMarcus is the keystone piece that Sacramento is looking to build around, and if they lose him, I guess they need something like that back in return, don't they? They need a key piece.
I don't know what they'd get back, though. I just think at this stage they'd get first-round draft picks and a B-grade player. Yep. I don't think, personally, he's got the drawing calibre to draw another A-grade player.
Yep.
But I think they'd lose more than they'd gain.
Yep. Well, I mean, I guess your trade value is only worth what someone's willing to pay. So the question would be, who would really want DeMarcus at this point?
Yeah.
I think it's really 2 different ends of the spectrum here, but I think it's really down to 2 teams for mine. You look at other teams in the league; they're pretty much set, and they don't need the drama that comes with DeMarcus Cousins. But the first one I'd like to talk about, the Celtics. Now, as you said, picks and a B-grade player. What do you think about a package of like a Jared Sullinger, who hasn't really worked out for Boston at this point? They need a big man. Kevin Garnett's getting on, and their record isn't ideal.
Yeah.
They still think they're challengers, though. I think they still think they're up there. So DeMarcus could be the piece that puts them over the line.
Well, I think they are. They think they are up there, but I think everyone else in the league is coming to the realisation that they're not.
The other thing is the East is very weak.
It is compared to the West, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they might be just outside the 8 even at the minute.
Yeah,
it may have just scraped in over the last couple of days, but I mean, this is a team that was, in the top 3,
absolutely,
lock spot for the top 3,
perennial playoffs, perennial finalists almost.
Would going there make DeMarcus settle down a bit with the old heads being there and that sort of thing? Maybe. I think it's the thing you'd only realise when you got there. But
that's the idea.
Yeah, he'd definitely be an upgrade on Brandon Bass. That's for sure. I've been watching him closely, Joe, and no, for me.
Do you think Sullinger and Bass or even Ali would get it done? Do you think Sacramento would accept that sort of trade?
I think...
Maybe even a Fab Melo?
Yeah, look, I don't think Brandon Bass would get it done, and I don't actually think Boston would want to part with Sullinger.
Yep.
But look, crazy things happen. I mean, who would have predicted the James Harden deal to Houston?
Oh, true.
So, and I mean, but in terms of the swap there, I'm not entirely convinced OKC got a great package back in return. I know you're a Kevin Martin fan, but there are just games where he really, really lets you down. But I mean, look, he's a good player. So, I mean, maybe not on skill-wise they've been even, but on what each team needed, I think OKC have still done well with Kevin Martin as that outside shooter, because obviously Durant can do everything because he's an absolute star. But so just getting back, I'm not convinced, again I'll point, that they'll get the package they're after for Cousins.
All right, well, what about a team at the other end of the spectrum?
Yep.
The other team, I think, who is a chance and who have said, in fact, whether this is true or not in the media, that they're going to offer Sacramento a deal that they can't refuse, which I'd fail to see what that could be. But
yeah,
the Charlotte Bobcats.
Yeah, well, it still amazes me that the great Michael Jordan would want to be associated with a club like the Charlotte Bobcats.
Very harsh.
Well, it is harsh, but I mean, Joey, credit to him. Oh, pen's gone crazy. Joe, they've got to have lost it. It's my lucky. No, we'll get back on topic. The Charlotte Bobcats, credit to them, they've got a few wins this year. They're not actually bottom of their conference for once, which is a very nice change. Already won more games than last year. But they're just a poor organisation for mine. I mean, I can't see them holding on to Kemba for a long period at least, and unless they do, as you said, get these people in around him. But what are they going to give up, Joey? That's what I ask.
Well, Look, in the past, I tend to agree with you. They haven't had the best track record, the Bobcats. I mean, even from the naming, struggle town. But look, at the minute, Kemba Walker and this year's draft pickup, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, MKG, really is a talent. I really rate him, and I think most people do. What a great building block to build around. Small forwards again. You've got your superstar small forwards, and then a lot of guys who could be better. Let's be honest. So, Kemba Walker and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, great building blocks to build around. If they can bring in Marcus Cousins with those guys, they've got a really nice young building team.
All of a sudden, it changes, doesn't it? But I mean, would Sacramento not ask for a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist in return? Because I can't see what else. Maybe a Byron Mullins they'd be interested in picking up, but I don't know.
What's the deal that they can't refuse? I mean, outside of those two guys, those two keystone guys who you wouldn't get rid of in Kemba Walker and MKG. I mean, Byron Mullins, Ramon Sessions.
They're not.
Jared Henderson. I mean, what?
Yeah, Ben Gordon's getting on as well, and he's not the player, obviously, that Sacramento would want after losing a big guy.
Well, you wouldn't think so, no.
Look, unless they're... I'm not accusing them at all, but unless they're planning on some dodgy under-the-table payments, outside the cap and all that sort of thing, I can't actually see what sort of deal Charlotte are going to be able to put together.
Well, the only thing I could think of is if, the season hits the skids and they end up getting another lottery pick. But at the minute, that doesn't really look that likely. There's a lot of struggling teams in the East, and I can't see where it's coming from. Yeah,
worth a special mention this quickly. They have been disappointing, to say the very least.
And they look like they're going to move on Andre Bargnani as well.
Yeah, of course, his comments didn't really do the franchise any favours, to put them in the spotlight for the wrong reason. But I've just gone over here. But as you said, some really poor sides in the East. Washington's another one who are struggling. About to get John Wall back, so it'll be interesting to see. I really like Nene.
Absolutely.
At centre there, so I think they'll be okay. But it's more Toronto and Charlotte are the ones that I'm a bit worried about.
Look, I'm worried too. But just back to DeMarcus Cousins before we move on. Another bit of a dark horse here. What do you think about the Memphis Grizzlies? They're a challenger, but they've sort of stalled lately compared to how they were going earlier in the season. And there's a lot of talk that Gay might be on the way out as well. Yeah. So do you think like a deal Gay for Cousins and a few throw-ins would get it done?
Yeah. I think it would. Yeah, I really think it would. But my only question would be for Memphis. I know they absolutely love Marc Gasol and Zebo starting in there. So where does that put DeMarcus? And whoever, if he replaces one of those guys in the starting side, then you've got to deal with an unhappy person who's been put out of the side, either Gasol or Randolph, who, by the way, has been fantastic coming back from injury this year. He's been terrific. So then you've got to deal with that problem. It's a problem in the dressing room that I don't think Memphis need to deal with at this stage while they're, really closing in on a really competitive run at it, sort of thing. But it's interesting. I mean, it could happen anyway. As I said before, the Harden thing just throws it up and anything can happen. So.
That's it. Anything can happen. I suppose if I was a Grizzlies fan, I'd be really, really hoping that they brought in DeMarcus and got rid of nothing other than probably sulky is the word to describe Gay. If he doesn't have it his own way, he's not the happiest camper. So if they could bring in Cousins and have Gasol and Zebo starting with Cousins coming off the bench, that really would terrify a lot of teams. And if they did make it to the finals, you'd assume Miami probably comes out of the East, who have no big men to speak of at all. So I think that'd be really beneficial if they could bring him in, and I'd probably be hoping for it if I was a Grizzlies fan. Yeah,
this is the only problem with that. Would Sacramento still agree to that, though, knowing that a Rudy Gay is going to come to them and, after the first year of his contract, or as soon as he can, he's going to jump ship?
But
I suppose they've still, then they could potentially move him on and use him in something as well. But I'm not convinced Rudy would be all that happy with that. But
no, I mean it probably may even come down to the point where they realise it's not working out with Cousins.
Yeah.
They need to move on, and it's all about what the best case scenario, what they can get for him, and maybe Rudy Gay is the best they can hope for in a trade.
yeah, well, I mean, Rudy gets there. You know, other players might automatically look at Sacramento as a more appealing place to be. But
speaking of appealing places to be, Lob City, the phenomena is just taken off after last season with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin there obviously, and DeAndre Jordan getting in on the act.
Yeah.
They had a really great run there, a really great win streak which came to the end recently. But the question is, on everyone's lips, do you think they're the real deal?
Well, that win streak was 17,
Yep.
Joey, which is absolutely fantastic. Then who went there in Denver? Was it Denver that knocked off their...
Yeah, I'm not sure 100% on who finished it, but I mean, they did lose to...
I'm pretty 100% sure.
Yeah.
Pretty 100%. No, 99.9. Denver went there
Yeah.
and knocked them off. So, I mean, they've won 17 in a row, but no, is my answer. No, they are not the real deal, Joe. They will not win. I say that straight down the camera right now. They will not win.
Well, they're second in the West at the minute,
Yeah.
and their record's 27-8. So I suppose, looking at the bare stats like that, you can't really begrudge them and say that they're not a challenger. It's pretty naive to think that. But again, it comes down to what happens in the playoffs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, flat track bully is a term that I throw around pretty often, but it really defines this team. I think it's quite easy to beat up on teams in the regular season.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't really take anything away from Chris Paul. He's probably the premier point guard in the league at the minute.
It's been fantastic.
Just gets it done on a nightly basis, and no, you wouldn't have any questions about him in the playoffs. But Blake Griffin, what do you think about him? One trick pony?
Well, it's hard to say because he's obviously a great player, Joey. But I don't know. I still think he's a little bit immature in a way. Yeah, if things got down the stretch in a playoff series, Game 6, Game 7, he'd still probably play a decent game. But I'm not sure he'd come to the party when all the cards were on the table. As I said, in a Game 6, Game 7. Because, as you said, he had, it's that big alley-oop, Lob City, all that sort of stuff.
He can get to the rim.
He can get to the rim, for sure. And look, he is a fantastic player. And we're not begrudging him at all or anything. But I'm just not convinced that he's the man.
He has a few flaws in his game. And, I mean, he definitely hangs his hat on his dunking ability, which is exceptional. It's amazing. I love to watch it. But his jump shot leaves a hell of a lot to be desired.
Yeah. And the better sides are going to clog up that. They're going to be able to clog up the lane.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. For all money, go in against a Charlotte. Sorry, Charlotte fans, if you are watching. We are picking on you a bit, but we'll go to someone else. Let's say New Orleans. Okay, sorry, New Orleans as well.
The Pelicans.
Well, that's a thing for another week. But look, it's all good to go down to New Orleans and throw up lobs behind the back and slam it down and all that sort of stuff. But against sides like San Antonio, Miami, even though they're not big, they're still smart, experienced teams, and they're not gonna let you just walk into the paint.
That's it.
And slam it down. And as you said with his jump shot, he's not one of the power forwards in the league that would be comfortable hitting an 18-foot jump shot and being in for a mid-ranger as well. So
no, you wouldn't feel comfortable with a game on the line, Blake Griffin.
No,
trying to win it for you. He's not a great defender either. Let's be honest. And
foul trouble.
Yeah, his defense and his rebounding is average for a big man. For somebody who can get up that high, I'd probably expect a little bit more on the boards from him. But a couple of games there, the game against the Lakers, they won, but the Lakers they were up big, and the Lakers had made a late comeback, which we'll get onto the Lakers a little bit more and their troubles, their woes. But in particular, the second unit from the Clippers against the Lakers in the Battle of LA, as I think they call it, the second unit isn't that great. I mean, you run through their list, you've got Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, who's, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on him.
Streaky at best, yeah.
He's an athletic big who can dunk as well, and he can block shots.
He'll have good games, he'll have bad games.
Yeah. Lamar Odom, probably past it.
Old, yeah. Look, he brings experience, but to be honest, I think there are a lot better options they could have got in.
It's not the Lamar that was at the Lakers. It's more, he more resembles the Lamar that was at Dallas, doesn't he, at the minute? Which was
disappointing and tarnished the career for sure. But look, he's been fantastic, and look, he is putting some good games together for them. But again, I still like to see youth, Joey, and I think they've just gone down the wrong path with. But that's why they've got him in, experienced head and all that sort of stuff.
Well, they've got Billups as well, who's quite old and probably getting on. And
well, he's having a lot of trouble just getting on the court.
That's it
as well, which is a problem. But I mean, you can't question their help in the dressing room or behind the scenes as well. So I don't so much mind Chauncey in that respect.
Well, we've got Grant Hill as well, another old guy there.
Has he even played this year? Has he? Is he back yet?
Look, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Even if he was 100% healthy, I'm sure he's about the 10th guy, 11th guy on the roster at the end of the bench celebrating threes. The three air guitar. No, they've got a couple of another older guy in Barnes who I know you're a fan of.
Well, Matty Barnes, he is something. And if you're on ESPN Fantasy Basketball, do yourselves a favour and pick this guy up. He is what you call the old-fashioned stat stuffer, Joey. He gets a few assists, he gets some boards, he gets a steal. Yes, he gets you some turnovers, but he'll get you some points as well. And look, he's not by any means an A grader. He's not someone you'll pay money to go watch. But if you supported the Clippers, you'd want someone like that on your team. He's a real, and we've used it a lot, but he's a real grinder, a real battler. And look, I don't think he's too bad. But again, it's easy to do it in the normal season. Okay, come playoff time, I'm not convinced he'll be able to keep the numbers up.
Just after that praise, you just dropped him yesterday, didn't you, from your team?
Well, yeah, I did, Joey. But I've got every intention of getting him back in. It's just that they don't play many games this week, so it's smart coaching, I would say. But
now back onto the roster, Eric Bledsoe, who was injured last year, and when he's come back, he probably hasn't made the impact that some of us expected that he would.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't know too much about him, so I'll probably leave Eric Bledsoe a bit more to you. But I mean, injuries are a tough thing, and with basketball especially, it's a really, really tough game to come back from an injury, because obviously with the boards and all that, you haven't really got a lot of cushioning, and your joints do cop a pounding, and the whole body really. So I mean, if you get injured in basketball, I probably think it's one of the hardest sports in the world to come back to and not keep getting niggles. So look, it's a shame though, because the little bit I have seen, he is a good player. So look, but
we've got Crawford on the second unit, which we were talking about, who's been exceptional this year, and a lot of people say he's the front runner for Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah,
he's been really good, but outside of Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, it's probably been a real void in their scoring stocks. There's not a lot of guys there who can light it up on any given night. So good on him. I'm not sure about Sixth Man of the Year for me. That's probably contrary to the popular view, but. I mean, it's not hard to stand out with a team with a list like that sort of thing, with a few struggling guys. I mean, Ronnie Turiaf is still there on the Clippers.
Yeah, big Ronnie. He's well, he is just one of those guys that's gonna get his hands dirty, really, isn't he? He's
all right, Ronnie. We got an angry soft spot for him here at BST.
He's an angry man, and he's got the beard cranking. He's got his months mixed up. Here in Australia. If you're watching internationally, we've got Movember and that sort of stuff, and we love to grow the beards down here, and
just any month of the year, love the beard.
Any month of the year, and I don't know. Big Ronnie, he's a different cat, but I think he fits in well there.
Yeah, well, they're a very aged team, and speaking of aged teams, the Lakers, a bit of a different record to their cross-city rivals, struggling at the minute. Do you think they're too old?
Look, Joe, LA, or the Lakers, sorry, they're an interesting one. Obviously, beg your pardon, there's a lot of conjecture about their performances this year, and obviously the Dwight Howard incoming, and quite a few other guys like Antoine Jamison.
Yeah, he's
quite old as well.
Yeah. Well, their recent loss to the Nuggets probably highlights my points here. I'll just run through a few stats for you so we know where the Lakers are at. They're sitting at 11th in the Western Conference.
When was the last time you saw that outside the first 3 games of the season?
Well, I think this will be the second time in Kobe's career that they're not going to make the playoffs at this point. They're 3.5 games behind the Nuggets, who they just lost to. So that loss is really significant, I feel. And it's a game they certainly didn't look like they wanted to lose, and they really couldn't in the context of their season. So I mean, the one guy we talk about when we talk about the Lakers is Kobe. Now, Kobe, I've looked at his stats. They're identical. His career stats to this year's stats, minimal 0.001 difference in every stat category. So from that respect, it's a very similar year for him in his career, he's been amazing, let's be honest. But the eye test, I think Kobe is just shooting too much.
The thing about Kobe is, and I've watched a few LA games this year, the thing about it is, if it gets crunch time, last 5 minutes, there may as well not be anyone else on the floor, when they're running an offensive set. Because Kobe does this thing where he backs himself up, and then he'll take a fadeaway jumper, and all that famous fadeaway jumper. But he doesn't hit every shot, Joey.
No.
He's a great player. He's a superstar. But I have seen games where he has lost them the game from taking poor shots.
I agree. I call it hero ball. I don't think there's anything worse in basketball than hero ball. ISO, isolation, every play. And, I mean, you've got Kobe Bryant, who's one of the best scorers in the league, in the world, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
But it doesn't work all the time.
No.
I mean, even I'm sure the amount of times that Kobe's hit a game-winning shot is probably about 33%.
Yeah.
On his career. So I just hate hero ball. I hate those isolations. And when you've got a list that includes Steve Nash, one of the premier point guards of all time, Dwight Howard, best defensive player in the league, probably the best rebounder as well, can score. I mean, he should be scoring 20 plus a night.
Oh, easy. He's definitely not the best free thrower in the league.
Hacker Howard, no. But it's not just those guys. I mean, Pau Gasol has been exceptional as a big man throughout his career, and he's a known scorer.
Yeah.
Antoine Jamison is a known scorer as well. Yep. So it's not like they're bereft of options in that regard.
Joe, the thing for me, I don't think, getting into the last quarter, and, teams are going to be generally in the bonus, okay? If you do well, you're not in foul trouble until really, really late. But the easiest thing for me to do, and the hardest thing for a defender, late in games, because they panic, my theory is get it into your big guys under the hoop and let them attack the board. And if they attack the board, at least over 50% chance they will draw a foul.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's all well and good to take these, as you call it, hero ball shots, isolation shots by Kobe, but get it into your big guy. You've got the biggest guy in the league.
Yep.
And yes, he can't shoot free throws, but he's still going to hit some of them, and it's better that than not getting anything on a trip at all.
Exactly. Speaking of Dwight, he looks a lot different from his days at the Magic. It's not the Dwight Howard we've come to know, I don't think. He ended up his career at Orlando with a back problem and missed the playoffs for Orlando. He went away and had rehab for the back problem. He's come back now and he's played almost every game. We find out today that he'll miss about a week, I think. A week on the side, which isn't too long, but doesn't bode well for the Lakers and their record in the next week.
Yeah, definitely.
Is Dwight Howard's problem his lack of ball, or is it his mentality and the sort of I need the ball, I'm the man of the town sort of thing?
Well, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that because he's not the number one guy anymore.
He's probably not even 2 or 3.
It's still Kobe, and will always be Kobe until the day he retires. And I mean, he at Orlando, he was the guy. He got them single-handedly, well up there in the standings in the Eastern Conference for Orlando.
Well, every offensive set would go down into the block of Howard first before it popped out to the three-point shooters. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm not sure if he's playing any worse or better. It just might be that he's not getting as much ball as he was. And I mean, I think when you watch a game, it can sense and seem that way. But look, he's definitely not playing as good. I'll give you that.
There's a lot of disharmony in the team. He's come out in the media and said that the team chemistry isn't right. But I mean, the team chemistry doesn't have to be right to win with Kobe. Shaq and Kobe famously didn't get on and busted things up towards the end. But Kobe's won before, and I mean, Pau Gasol and Kobe aren't the best of friends, you'd imagine, and they don't seem like they, I'm sure they don't hang out and go to team dinners together.
Well, they're not buddies, are
no,
they?
They're not.
No, you can. I think Kobe's his own friend.
Yeah,
a bit at LA. Yeah, I don't think he's the sort of player that would invite the other guys over to his house and that kind of thing at all. And he wouldn't. I don't think he would catch up outside the season with his guys.
No.
Yeah, so...
And D'Antoni's not the coach to mollycoddle guys either, so I think Dwight... I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves the Lakers and heads to his preferred destination in Brooklyn. I don't know what to get that done, but...
Really?
I can see that happening, definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that would give us a lot to talk about.
It would. But moving on, again, back to another great segment... here on BST Weekly, Caney's Royal Toast. Now, funnily enough, the toast here this week goes to a few players and a team.
Okay.
One of them's behind us. I'm not sure if you can guess who.
Oh,
this guy here.
Stephen Curry.
Steph Curry, David Lee, Mark Jackson, and the Golden State Warriors this week. Caney's Royal Toast. These guys have been amazing. They've been on the tear since the start of the year.
Yeah.
Last year, they finished off outside the playoffs, so they put Steph Curry away for surgery, which is expected, and Monte Ellis ran the team, basically, towards the end of last year. David Lee's been injured as well. So what they've gone and done, they've traded Monte Ellis, which now just looks like a masterstroke, where at the time I thought, I'm not so sure letting go of almost an all-star guy in Monte Ellis.
Who will not be in Milwaukee for very much longer. Who must get out there.
Which is a shame because...
That's for another day.
That is. Yeah. But back to the toast here. It's just been phenomenal. Even David Lee. I mean, let's look at his stats here. In 2013 this year, he's averaging 5 more minutes a game, which is good. Obviously, he's deserving them. He's averaging +1 rebounds per game, so now he's up to 10.9. So that's very, very good, as you expect from a big man, a decent big man in the game.
Yeah.
3.7 assists, which is really interesting, I think, because a career average of 2.3 up to 3.7 this year, that's pretty good for a big guy.
Yeah.
And 19.9 points per game this year he's averaging, which his career average is 14.7. So, I mean, it's a career year for David Lee.
Well, he's got to be... I'm not sure how the polls are actually looking for All-Star, but he's got to be close. He's got to be at least in the short list.
Well, you'd think so. I mean, it's just a phenomenal year. I can't really put into words how surprised I am at this almost turnaround of David Lee's career.
Yeah, well, I made a bit of an outrageous statement at the time earlier in the year that I thought David Lee was going to have a really good year. And I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this good though, Joe. He's he's not the athletic type looking bloke, is he? He's a big lug, big white man, as they say. You know, the jury's not completely, you know, sold on big white men in the NBA. But look, credit to him. You know, he's got his chance and he's taken it with both hands, and he's one of the premiums out there at the minute.
Oh, you'd probably say he's one of, if not the best big man in the league this year. I agree with you on that. And he's propelled them to... Golden State Warriors are 5th in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Now, it is a tough conference, especially compared to the East, but there's a lot of good teams who are vying positions in the playoffs. And to be 5th at this stage of the year, they'd be pretty happy with that. They're 2nd in the Pacific Division, behind the Clippers, which is... I would not be surprised if they overtake the Clippers by the end of the regular season, but that remains to be seen. And they're 11-4 at home and 22-11 on the year. So that's a really, really good record. And 22-11 at this point in time, at the New Year's period, is really a great springboard to be at.
Well, it is. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they go. Well, they will make playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It will be really interesting to see how far they can go, though.
And the thing is, as well, Andrew Bogut.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't put all faith in a loved Aussie back here in Andrew Bogut. But yeah, look, if he gets back, bonus. But I mean, at the minute, they don't need him, do they?
Well, that's the thing. If he comes back, what a bonus, what a kick that would be for the playoffs to have a guy like Bogut coming off the bench even. Gee, it puts him in a good spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got guys like, you know, Carl Landry on the bench as well.
Harrison Barnes has been a really good pickup as well.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
Klay Thompson's continued it on.
Has come on, yeah. So, I mean, things are good in Golden State.
They are.
They really are, yeah. And, I mean, it's good because back in the day, you know, what was I saying? No, back in the day, they were a bit of a laughing stock.
They were a bit.
Yeah, they were. There's no doubt about that. But, so I'm talking early 2000s.
Yep.
Here, you know, when I first started to, you know, get involved in basketball and that sort of thing. But to the level they've got now, yeah, it's only onwards and upwards, and they could be a force for a few years to come yet.
I think Mark Jackson's a really, really smart coach as well, and I think he's attributed a lot to this winning season. And I think he's smart. He knows the sets. He knows what will work against every team. Even adopting tactics like we mentioned earlier, Hacker Howard. He's not afraid to do that, and the Golden State natives love him, and I think it's just a match made in heaven, and very much deserving of Kaney's royal toast this week.
Oh, well, just the first royal toast of many. But just before you... hold me up if I've jumped the queue here, but we did mention the Western Conference is stacked with quality. Just that 7 to 10 spot. You know, you got and 6 as well. You know, you got Houston, Utah, Portland, Minnesota when they're healthy are a pretty good side. Help me out here. Who else are in that mix for playoff? There's
a lot of teams, and it's a real logjam.
It bats deep, doesn't it? Not of star quality, but solid B grade, like B plus. I'm talking.
Yeah,
you know?
I think even the top teams in the West who are very good. We look at Oklahoma City and San Antonio. I think they really wouldn't like to run into some of these teams in the first round of the playoffs.
Mm.
Yeah, well, so moving on from the West to the East, and another one of my favourite segments, which is going to be a regular on this show.
The last of today.
Remember,
we've got a new segment next week, so that'll make 5, but just the 4 today. What's this? That is a fork, Joey.
That's a fork. Put a fork in him. Put a fork in him. This segment is about someone who is absolutely cooked. They're done. It could be a team. It could be a player.
So by cooked, you mean finished?
Finished. Done. Put a fork in him. He's ready. He's done. He's done. Get him out.
Get him out. Gone.
Finished.
Okay.
Time to go.
I like it.
This week's Put a Fork in Him. The ailing Celtics.
We touched on the Celtics a bit before, yeah.
We did. They have a record of 16-17. That's their record on the year. That's a losing record at this point of the season.
We haven't seen that for a while, have we?
Not from one of the great teams of my generation. The Celtics have been in the playoffs for as long as I can remember. They had the original Big Three. I mean, I think it was the summer of 2007 where Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and hooked up with Paul Pierce in Boston. And they've had a magical run since then. But they're struggling this year and put a fork in them.
Well, normally, Joey, I like to argue with you, but I can't on that at all. It is exactly right. It's just this age thing again, you know. In the NBA, so many good young guys around these days. Like LeBron's, 26, 27? Yeah, so I mean...
Still young.
Yeah, he's, you know, once you get over that 30 years of age, with any sport, it's really tough to keep it going.
Well, speaking of Kevin Garnett, let me read through these stats for you.
Superstar.
36.3 minutes on his career he averages playing. 36 is what any star player would want to be playing. That's the set, that's the margin, that's what you want to be. 29.2 minutes a game this year. Wearing on the body. I mean, career averages 10 rebounds a game. That's down to 7. Averaging 4 assists on his career. Well, that's down to 2.3.
Okay.
1.5 blocks a game. He certainly hasn't got the legs anymore. 0.7 this year. And his points per game on his career is 19.2. And this year it's 14.7. I mean, his career totals encompass years that weren't that great as well. So it just shows you how poorly and how much of a... I mean, I love Kevin Garnett and he's been exceptional throughout his career. But he just can't be the shot blocker. He can't be the playmaker. He can't be that all-around everything guy that the Celtics need him to be anymore.
Well, I mean, you're exactly right. In his, he kept Minnesota afloat for years when he was there. Okay, the
best player in the league probably at the time.
Franchise did absolutely nothing to help him, and he was stranded there for a long while. He's finally got out to Boston. He's got the success.
He's got his rings.
Yep. He's got the rings. He's got the success that he deserves, and any good player deserves. But there does come a time, and it comes with everyone, and I don't think he'll ever get the tap on the shoulder to say...
And nor should he.
Nor should he, but I think he should go out on a high. And I think this should be his last. I don't think it will be, though, because did he recently sign a contract, is it?
Oh, I'm not sure about that, but I think he wants to play on, and I don't blame him. I mean, but the Celtics are sitting 8th with their poor record in the East, which is pretty... Let's just say it's shallow, to say the very least. There's a lot of teams who are very middle of the road there in the Eastern Conference. They're 3rd in the Atlantic Division, which is their division. So I can't see them improving on that. And for their standards, they've just been horrendous. And it's tough to pinpoint Garnett as the main problem, but certainly maybe he's a symptom. I'm not sure, but it hasn't helped. And guys like Paul Pierce, marginal declines in their stats and that type of thing, but he's getting on as well.
Well, he definitely is, and I mean, you're seeing Rondo getting ejected from games this year.
It must be frustrating.
Well, it must be. It's all it comes down to in the end, frustration. But I mean, it's never good to have to accept that you're on the decline, and the sooner Boston are able to do that, I think the better. But
you think it's time to blow it up?
Yeah, it is.
Well, they still can get some value for guys like Garnett and Pierce and build around Rondo for the future?
Oh, I think so. I think you have to now.
Or is it DeMarcus Cousins type option?
Well, yeah, in that sense, but you are absolutely no chance to get Kevin Garnett to Sacramento. So you'd need a third. You need a third team, which is very possible. But yeah, I'm with you. Put a fork in at Boston. You're a bun now. You're officially done. Okay, you're ready. You're ready to go. And it's a shame, but they'll be back. You know, they're a successful team.
This one's for you, Boston. Kevin Garnett and the Ailing Celtics this week. Put a fork in him. Now, to finish up on almost, but I just want to enlighten the viewers here with something pretty special. We're going to get the tech guys in and have a look at our...
This wasn't on the script.
You'll like this one, Timothy.
Okay.
Here comes our Pop of the Week.
Pop of the Week?
Yes.
19, 5:40 left to play. You're in the second half. Or third quarter. Oh my goodness! Victor Dukes just brought down the Convocation Center, and he just injured a player with a dunk.
Wow. What was that?
Wasn't that something else?
Forget Lob City. Forget the Clips. I'm watching this team every week.
Well, let me tell you a bit about him. Victor Dukes was that man's name.
Yeah.
He's a 6'3" sophomore from Arkansas, and he's not on any recruiting databases, but maybe he will be now.
Well, it only takes one thing to see that a kid's got something special, and he's got something pretty special. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was out of this world. But anyway, enough about basketball.
That was good. I didn't mind that.
Yeah.
Pop of the week.
Pop of the week.
All right. Can't wait till next week. We're just the last bit now. News has come through, obviously, which everyone is happy with.
Ecstatic.
The NHL lockout is over. Finally, it's been a messy process, but
Too long.
we all rejoice. It's not confirmed yet, Joey, but talk is that the season's going to be 48 games, and it's going to start no later than January 19th.
48 games is probably just enough. I think that was the bare minimum they said in the agreements anyway, that a season could go ahead with. So 48 games, not that many. You'd want to hit your straps pretty early.
Yeah. Oh, well, you would. The only problem with it is, and I mean, you can't do anything about it because it's just the way it's got to happen. It really doesn't suit staying teams like the 82-game season does, and I'm talking teams like the Phoenix Coyotes in that mould that don't have stars. They're just, again, a grinding team that's going to get results and churn them out over the course of a season. I just think this season favours the Philadelphias, the Kings, the Rangers,
Even the Penguins.
Yeah, the Penguins as well. I mean, now that Sydney's back to full fitness, until one hit, that is, Joey. To win it this year, you're going to have absolute star power for mine. I don't know how you see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the table as well, I think if you get there, you're every chance. From the LA Kings showed last year that you're every chance even in a normal season. But certainly this year, I think any team that makes the playoffs is a massive chance to win it all and win a Stanley Cup.
Well, it's nothing's confirmed yet, but there are little murmurs going about that games are only going to be played in your conference as well. So I'm not sure how true that is, but I don't mind it. It's a bit
depends on
both
how
ways.
strong your conference is, I suppose.
Yeah.
Teams would be happy with it.
I mean, it's pretty even.
Yeah.
It's not too bad, but we'll definitely give it a different take on it, that's for sure.
It'll be an interesting year.
Yeah, do you have any early predictions? I mean, teams don't even get a train. Like, what are we now? January 8th?
Yeah, I think it's a 1 week training camp that's going to take place. So, you couldn't, as I said, if you make the playoffs, throw a blanket over anyone who makes the playoffs, and on their day, I'm sure that they can come up trumps.
Yeah. Well, it's next week. Obviously, we'll have a bit more news about it. The roster and everything will be in place, and we'll be good to go. But I mean, in terms of that brings us to a close.
Yeah,
for the first episode, Joe.
Such a long show this week, but we had a lot to get through with the Christmas and New Year period. It's such a busy period, especially in the EPL, but in the NBA as well. Plus, it's our first show, so we wanted to get it all out there, a few of our views.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget, we're on Twitter, so at BST Weekly, or you can catch us on email at bst_weekly@gmail.com. But Joey, it's been a pleasure, as always.
Pleasure. Yes.
Feel free to send us your views, anything you want, but next week our show will be packed to the brim with more discussions.
We'd love to hear from you. We've got a few segments, as we said, so any funny clips you have or any interesting topics, if you think the Celtics aren't too old and we were wrong, write in. If you're a Newcastle fan and thought you were unfairly treated and that the season's going to turn around,
and a
love to hear from you.
Special shout out to Charlotte Bobcats fans.
Yes.
Because we definitely laid the boot into them as well. So we don't forget you. Hopefully we'll have something positive.
But that's what we're about. We're about opinions here. So we hope you enjoyed the first show. And from Timothy and myself.
Cool. See you later.
All the best. Don't forget, BST Weekly.